Now that you have a Keyman keyboard defined that may include desktop and laptop and mobile device, you'd actually like to try it out on different devices. So I'm going to go through a few slides on how that is done. That should be pretty straightforward with a very short slide deck. After you've created the keyboard and you make sure that it all compiles, then the next thing to do is start giving it to somebody. That somebody could be you, but there are some other steps that you want to perhaps do before you actually send it out to the world. There's packaging information added to the project, and one can actually define a welcome page or README page. You can define a specific icon that you'd like to associate with this Keyman layout, and so on. And that is part of the Keyman project. So once you've compiled it all, you can add things to the Keyman project. KPS is a Keyman project. Add packaging to this. I'll show you how this is done. In that, you add a README, a welcome file. Some of these are HTML, and just basic information about this. There's an awful lot you can add to your definition of your project, in addition to just the Keyman keyboard itself. One can also add distribution, and that can be including a license and other information as well. And then one builds the distribution, and the output files are ready to be shared. Let me go back to the Keyman developer and show you a little bit about aspect of it. We've really been looking at the Keyman project, and we've been looking at the individual keyboards within this project. Because I actually built more than one keyboard in this particular Keyman project, go to these other ones and see this project rules that has code and layout that are different from the one I was showing you with the upside. And because it has rules, it can't show that. But back in this, you can see that there are multiple KMN files. Each KMN file is a particular keyboard. The project contains more than one keyboard, and those can be seen in the keyboards tab down here. Actually, 4 different keyboards. And if I go to packaging, I can add a package, which I have done already, and look at the package itself. Clicking on the KPS file, one can see lots of things. First of all, this first tab shows you that there are several different files that are associated with this file, and one can edit this welcome file. The welcome file is just HTML, and you can put whatever you want in here, telling people about this keyboard, telling people about who made it, and it can be customized as any HTML, and that is useful. Want to talk about that? There's a README file which is very similar, and this can be edited. And this would be a slightly different thing. The upside also has the ability to add different files that have been produced as output here. I don't think that's so terribly important at this point. One can say, let me define more about the keyboard. The keyboard in this particular case is the upside keyboard has been added to this packaging, and that particular one has a language tag defined. In this case, it's English, Latin that I've used, and the Latin or the language name is defined. I could also add another language here. I could say, well, this can also be used by French. And if I say French, then it would assume that French is, or knows the code for French, and it would assume that it's in Latin. So this keyboard could actually be defined for more than one language. I could also add particular fonts if I wanted to, and I can add a font on the keyboard and also add a display font for showing the actual characters that are produced. I can tell Keyman if it's going to be a right to left layout, or I'm sorry, a right to left language. And I can do quite a bit of other things with this under the keyboards. More advanced things that I'm not going to talk about today include generating lexical models. Lexical model basically is a list of words that allows people to define the text. And there are more details you can give about the package, including giving the package a name and copyright information and who built it, web addresses, and so on. And then there is the source file for this, which is just a list of XML descriptions of the things that are defined in the other tab. And one can build this package here. One can also build the package from this place by saying build all, and that creates a project, or that creates a task to build all the things that are in the package. Finally, one can go to distribution, and distribution includes a few other things. History, license information, and README, and so on are all possible for all parts of the distribution.
In the package,
Mm-hmm.
the files that you showed, the HTML and so forth, are those being edited within the package, or can you create the files elsewhere and move them into the package? It looked like you had opened the package and you were editing it within the package.
Yes. Here, when I add a file, it lets me add any file that exists already. So it could be an externally edited file, and I can just add it in. But I can also create one from scratch within the keyboard, within the Keyman application.
Okay, thanks.
So Keyman provides us a lot of things, and working with the Keyman developer interface lets you see how things work. And like any like any application, it takes some time to figure out how to use it. But once you know how to use it, it can be quite powerful. You might also wonder, well, what do I actually use to send to people? In the distribution, when one has built everything, it actually shows a lot of things being built here. And if you look closely at these things, you'll see that KMNs were built. But I'm going to go to my file browser in Windows. Oh, here, my Upside project. My Upside project is in a directory. All of these files that I've defined are right here. They can be edited within Keyman or other places. Source files are things that would actually be added to a repository for Keyman if we want to submit this to Keyman later. But more interesting at this point is what's called the build directory. The build directory includes a lot of things here, but the most important things are these files called KMP, Keyman Project. These Keyman Project output files are the ones that you can actually use to run on your computer. I double click on upside.kmn. You can see that it does a little bit of thinking, and it actually brings up another application called the Keyman application. Easy to get confused between Keyman and Keyman Developer, but double clicked on this one, upside.kmp. It shows me basically the welcome information about the project. Some basic information about it. The README, I didn't add anything to it, but if I had edited the README for this, it would give me a whole bunch of other information about this. And here I can say install this. If I say install, on most reasonable computer systems, it will ask, do you really want to do this? Do you really want to let this happen? It takes seconds to install the keyboard. And then if I am fortunate, it will give me a page that says, this is what you've just done. And it lets me know that this is installed on my computer. Now, I'm hoping that you can see on my machine that I have a set of keyboards that are defined here. And the keyboards that are defined here for this particular Windows machine are indicated in this keyboard picker here. Keyboard picker lets me choose keyboard from among those that have been defined in Keyman. And this particular window here should look familiar. It's the on-screen keyboard that we defined in the Keyman developer. And it is active in the sense that it has, that it does indeed respond to shift and unshift. And for some reason, it looks like it is defaulted back to regular old Keyman or regular old English. I want to use upside. Okay, so now I'm back to upside. I'm going to close this window and I'm going to open. I'm going to open a notepad. Again, I need to choose my keyboard. I'm not an expert at using different keyboards on Windows, but now I have my Keyman keyboard here, and I'm in a chat application. I can type the characters in the top row, the QWERTY row, hit QWERTY. But if I type characters on my row here, you can see that I get X and Y. I get a capital F. I get this key, and I can either use the mouse to select these, or I can use the physical keyboard and actually use the shift and everything else and get the characters that I expect. Now, because it's a physical keyboard, it doesn't have a long press option here, but this is a way that I can actually use one of the keyboards that I've created. Since I've been doing this for a while, I have a number of other keyboards that I could select as well, but the installation was a few seconds to get it into my system, and then selecting it from the list of possible keyboards is again one more selection. If I wanted to go back to just typing English using the predefined Windows keyboard, I select that here, and it will default. And now I'm back to using the regular QWERTY. So that's an example of using it on my machine that actually works.
Greg,
But,
if you
yes.
specified a font for display,
Mm-hmm.
is that just for the touch keyboard display, or will Notepad or Windows be notified and switch over to that font, or do you have to do something separate to install the font? What happens if you've specified a font with
I
Keyman?
think the answer is that the font is specified in the on-screen keyboard and on whatever display you have on, or whatever is used to actually show the version of the keyboard on your mobile device. But it does not tell the application, such as Notepad or anything else, the font to be installed on your machine. So if you want to use a writing system that is not, or doesn't have a font already installed on your machine, then you have to put that in separately to actually use it within the application, not control your font and characteristics that's going into your application.
So we need to tell users they have to install Keyman.
Mm-hmm.
They have to install the Keyman distribution.
Mm-hmm.
They may also have to install the font.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that makes sense because one needs to install a font for using anything, anything on your computer. In most cases, or in many cases, the fonts are already installed. They may not be the fonts that people want, but on desktops and laptops, one can install the fonts and select them in most applications for different styles, for example.
Yeah, but you would think if Keyman installed the font for its keyboard that you don't have to install it separately again for Windows to use it.
It may be an option that Keyman supports. Use the documentation. They may tell you something. But
Okay.
as far as I know, it doesn't automatically pull the font for you on your own. So that's pretty much what it is to start using Keyman on the desktop. The Keyman is an installable project file. It also includes the on-screen keyboard, and if the mobile has been defined within it, or if the mobile has been defined in your project, it also includes that mobile, but of course it doesn't activate that on your desktop machine. Now, we've gone over how to get it on your desktop. If you want to use this on another file or on another computer, there are several ways to do that. Email it to the people who want to use it. If the email application will accept a KMP file without complaining, that's a really quick and easy way to do it. Or you can physically put it on a thumb drive and have other people use it that way. You could put it on a sharing application such as Google Drive or Dropbox or anything else, because it's just a file. The only concern is that some systems may interpret it as possible security risk. You have to worry about that. Protecting it on your system, um, I've shown you how this is done on Windows. On a Macintosh, how to select the particular keyboard that you want to use. I can't demonstrate that on my Windows machine, but it involves different methods. Works quite well on a Macintosh as well. And then select that keyboard and use it in any application you want. Save the files. Those characters are stored as Keyman has let you type them in. So on desktop and laptops, it's really quite straightforward. Now, if you want to do this same thing on your mobile device, there are three basic steps. First of all, the first step is add the Keyman application on your mobile device. And you can get the Keyman application from Play Store or the App Store. And there are details here on getting it onto Android or iOS. And once that application is installed, then one can simply double or add the file to your device, click on your mobile device, and it will start up the Keyman app.